When you discovered the law of attraction, you started to believe anything was possible. Life got better, much better. Now you want more, but it's not working. That's where the Manifest It Now show comes in. If you've been waiting for someone who can teach you the practical application to manifest quicker and easier while having more, turn the volume up, because the dynamic duo, Cassie Parks and Ginny Gain, are ready to teach you how to live the law of attraction like they do. It's time to laugh and learn.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Manifest It Now. I'm here with Cassie Parks.
And I'm here with Ginny Gain.
Our topic today, we're going to talk about how you manifest with your partner. How fun.
I know, right? Oh, I love it. All right. So we we talked a lot today. So this episode might be a little shorter than normal, just a little bit. But first, I definitely want to hear, Jen, what's new, what's awesome? What are you excited about?
I am very excited about our new awesome RV trailer that Lisa and I manifested. Speaking of manifesting with your partner.
Yes.
And there's such a great story to it. I'll be quick about this, but we were planning a reno in our back garage to turn it into a guest suite. And we got some quotes after we had already bought the house. This was like a big part of my excitement about this particular house. And we got some quotes about what it would take to do this. And it was way 10 times what we thought it would be. And we're like, crap. And I felt the disappointment. And I was in that disappointment and oh, did I make a wrong decision? I had the thoughts, but I didn't believe those thoughts. Underlying, I was still I know this is working out, blah, blah, blah. Literally is what I said to myself. But I just felt, and I let it be. And it wasn't until that evening and Lisa and I were walking and she said, well, what if we, got a trailer that way, we wanted to do some traveling and that way they still have their whole own space and then the garage can be a gym, a workout place. And I'm like, yes. And it was an immediate, heck yes. And I was so excited and she was on board. And if I could go into all the little details of why that was the perfect answer and how the momentum was built and the excitement about the guest suite leading us to this decision and nothing ever going wrong and needing to feel the excitement for the garage conversion and then doing some other things and realizing we would have hated that experience. And so there's just so much perfection in all of it. And so it was very exciting. And then even the story of getting the specific trailer and how effortless and easy and it fell into place. And it required us clarifying with each other what we wanted and communicating, and which we'll get into. But yeah, that's what I'm excited about. So that's all happening now.
Yay. That's awesome.
What are you excited? What are you excited about?
Well, because we chose this topic, I'm excited about everything. So many things. And since we're doing manifesting with your partner, I am going to say I'm excited that I just got a text while Jenny and I were on the phone that said, Europe for 6 weeks, ? Thoughts, ?
And you're yes, my dream life.
Right. I'm yes. And so that was from my partner. And she, it was funny because Jenny's what does that mean? And I'm it must mean that there's some opportunity for her to go to Europe and work for 6 weeks. And and so, my response back was yes.
Yeah.
And
I love that. Yes. I love that freedom that we have. Yeah.
I know, right? There's no because even that's a whole thing we could talk about. But there is so much freedom in the life that we live and that I can just say yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if it happens that there's, I have some events planned. And if it happens that one of those events is in the middle, I just come home early, right? Maybe I'm on there for 4 weeks and it's still awesome. Yeah. So fun to just be able to say yes. I always wanted that life.
Guess what, Cass?
What?
you have it.
I do. Oh, it's so fun.
It is. So manifesting with your partner, it's something that, probably both Cassie and I have been asking for a long time. But it's one of the things that is so core to what I was asking for, but it's so fun. It's so satisfying. And if not if, but what I really wanted to say was if you're single, make sure you're asking for that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't realize how we ask for things like, I want to share my experiences, and I want it to be mutual and co-creative and that kind of thing. Actually, I don't know if people use words like co-creative, but that's what that means to me, is like we working towards a common vision I was very clear about that. And I didn't actually define the specifics, but I knew what that felt like. And I knew as soon as I know I'm going off topic, but as soon as I met Lisa, I knew that was there. And it's been so fun to practice it, to experience it. Yeah.
Ooh, I think it's totally on topic. And that I just want to say this before we go any further, that our next episode will be, so this is how to create with your partner. And the premises Jenny and I are going to really talk about is when both people are open and willing and ready and have some sort of experience or want to have experience and knowledge of using law of attraction and creating your own reality and doing this. In the next episode, we will do, for those of you that asked this topic, like, how do I manifest with somebody who might not be into the law of attraction, but I'm married and I've discovered this, or I'm in a relationship, and how do I do it? And don't let that get in the way is always the thing. And that's, it doesn't have to get in the way, but we're going to cover that in the next episode. So as you're listening, I just want you to know this is going to be all when everybody's pretty much all in.
What? Or sorry?
Most, I said this is going to be pretty much when both parties are all in.
Yes. Yeah.
And by all in, I mean open, because I think there is levels of all in. There's levels of what we all like to do, right? What makes us feel good in terms of manifesting. And your partner doesn't have to have the same level of that, and it's okay.
Yeah, that's exactly where I wanted to start, is by be aware of how you're defining your partner's level, in terms of Cass is saying, of like their manifesting abilities, desires, all these things. Because likely you are on board, there's a similarity in the relationship, but your partner might talk about it in a different way. And honor that, and be aware of how they talk about the same topic, but just differently. Like you might talk about it one way and they might talk about it differently, and be as excited. Don't need them to be like you. Don't need them to do it the way you do it. Yeah.
Or don't use the term like, they're not doing it right. Like if they're doing any sort of manifesting, law of attraction, creating, they have a belief that maybe they don't call it the law of attraction, but they go more of a science route. Like there's no one's doing it wrong. Like celebrate the fact that they're in it with you. And this is the greatest place to learn. Like what Jenny was just saying, what I'm thinking about when you're like, oh, be open and like learn, is that you can learn, and it gives you an opportunity to sort of check in with yourself and see how, like, oh, can I elevate this, or do and even when we still believe, somebody does it a little bit different, and we still believe like our way is right, and it is right for you. Understand, having conversations with people who do it a little bit differently is so powerful, because if you walk away with the same belief, it's so much stronger, and that's a good thing.
Yes.
So it's great if having a conversation with your partner who does it a little bit differently is helps you, just internalize more what you believe, or if it makes you shift a little bit. Both are awesome. And that's one of the gifts about doing this in a partnership.
I was just going to say, what is one of the elements do you think it takes to be successful, or not successful might not be the right word, but to have fun manifesting with your partner?
Number one is sort of what we talked about, like let go of the need that it has to look the same as yours, or that it has to be a certain way. We're all different. And even like all of my clients, they're following the same process, but they all do it a little bit different because they've come from a different background. Different knowledge, different experiences, all that. And so number one is to just be open that it's going to be different, and be excited about that, instead of letting that be like a thing that's making you think, oh, it's not going to work right, or this isn't going to happen, or whatever other beliefs you might have.
Or it's bringing you apart. So I think one of the keys to that will be is identifying that you're both excited about something and just acknowledging, hey, we are co-creating this, right? Like we're both adding our ideas, we're both adding our energy to this, our vision, and we're both talking about how it could be possible, what's great about this, or we're just sharing our own experiences with the possible success of this. Any of that is co-creating. Even if your partner has an idea about something and they're excited, and add to that momentum instead of possibly sometimes, and I am raising my hand, I've done this many times, instead of shutting them down. And because of if you are seeing different aspects of that because of your perspective and you're saying why that wouldn't work right away, how you be a co-creative partner and how you manifest with your partner is to add to their momentum, is to give them space to express all of their excitement, all of their ideas, and let them feel that. And the more you let them feel the excitement, the more energy you're co-creating with, that's just energy and excitement. That always leads to good. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Okay.
Because I was trying to think, like, if people are doing it differently, then how do we acknowledge or know that we're doing it together? And I think the key is identifying the feeling, identify the similar feeling. You might be excited about gardening and your partner might be excited about skydiving. And you're both, even though they're different topics, you come home and you talk about it. That's co-creation. Because you're spending time and excitement and you're sharing that energy together.
I want to highlight something that you said but didn't say so that people hear it, is that excitement is the co-creation. It doesn't have to be all like, what do we want, this dream? Like you're co-creating more excitement by sharing your excitement.
Yes. And I think that's true co-creation.
Yeah. Say more about that.
Well, I think like you can be a partnership, you can be in a partnership working towards a vision. And that's just a more specified way of manifesting something. But generally in life, like we are, where we spend our time and the energy is what we're going to get more of. And so if we're deliberately spending time in excitement or relaxation or peace or happiness, whatever it is, we are co-creating with our partner, our family, whatever it is. And then the co-creative experience of having communication with your partner, verbal communication that says, we would like to travel in a year, then that's a different kind of manifesting. another part. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's number one, when you're looking at doing this with your partner, is to like leave all the sort of techniques, the manifesting to-do list, everything out of that in the beginning.
Yeah.
And really put that focus on the feelings that we want to create. Cultivating that, creating that culture in your house that we focus on, whatever it is, but happiness, peace, excitement, and really just be in it to lay that foundation of that together. Before you even move into, like Jenny said, like the specifics of, we want to travel in a year, and that, make sure that is good. And if you feel like this kind of the steps or the how-tos or the, the things that you do aren't necessarily having a lot of juice, go back to that step and just for the next week, like pick what you want to have in your life in a year or 5 years from now, whether that's excitement or happiness or peace, what you want most, and just pick one and see how you can add to that environment and create that over the next week. And then see, maybe pick another feeling, or then maybe move into some steps.
I'm getting so excited.
I know, right?
Oh yeah. It's so good. Okay. What do you want to talk about next? Do you want to go into a little more of the specifics?
Yeah. So then once you really, I'm going to use the word cultivate again, because once you've cultivated that environment of already having those feelings on board, then you can kind of start talking about, okay, what do we want? What do we want to create?
I think we should talk about communication here and how to communicate.
Yeah.
How to effectively communicate in the best way to support, like manifesting with your partner.
Yes. And as we talk about this, I think this might be important to share first, is that it's learning what you mean and how you do things, and how to communicate effectively is really sort of understanding you as well. And so there's going to be, I don't want to say bumps, but there's learning in this, right?
If we had more time, Cassie, if we had more time.
And I think it's a fun thing to say about you and I as we lead into this communication part about it. You know, you and I realized we were having a conversation one day, and it was some story you were telling, and I was like, oh, I think I do that too, where you and I are very, we love the idea. We stay in the idea space because for us, that's very fluid and can change very fast because we're just sort of following like, oh, this feels good today. And like, yeah, this would be fun to create. But if it's not, there's no inspired action behind it, we don't do it. But some people are like, oh, we should go do that tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. I should probably do a whole episode because I've learned so much. Like Lisa and I have learned so much together about how we work differently, and we've had to talk things out. Obviously, that's what relationships are for. And it's all been loving and supportive, but it's so interesting. I'm like learning so much. And it's so nice to do it in a respectful place. No one is like, you're wrong or you're wrong. And this is actually, like, let's just play this in. This is part of adding manifesting with your partner, is kind of coming back to number one, is you're right and they're right. And then it's like, how can we do this best together? How can we find the parts of both of what we want? How can we make this a win-win is a lot of what you want to aim your conversations towards, honoring both parts.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so what if so let's just use an example. What if you sit down with your partner and you want to buy a house. You decide, okay, yeah, let's buy a house in a year or 2 years or whatever. So let's manifest a house together. What would you say is one of the best ways to start with this?
Like just pure dreaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my first question is always like, okay, what would you want in it? What would be your favorite parts about it?
Oh, hold on. I'm going to back up. What would be your favorite parts about it? What are going to be your favorite parts about our house? So this is really fun way to use words that you can already be creating. So if you're listening to us, you might be, I think it's natural that there might be somebody who's a little more involved or who's done more, or I don't know, maybe more knowledge, and somebody who just really likes to create and wants to co-create with you in a relationship. And I think that's a good thing because of some of the things we talked about at the beginning. So if you're that person, you can use those words that Jenny's, what's going to be your favorite parts about the house? Which is different than like, what do you want? Right? Because when it's like, what do you want? You kind of start going down that list.
Let's make a list.
Well, right. Well, we need 4 bedrooms and we need this, right? But when you say, what's going to be your favorite part? Things like, oh, the backyard, we're going to put the hot tub. Right. And then you're getting to those things that are juicy and that are like what is most important and what feels best to you. And you're creating that.
And it's really important to, just like Cassie said, start in the dream state. So this isn't a figuring out the details of what we want question. This is a dreaming question. And to make sure you bring that into the conversation, like, hey, what would be awesome in our house? What would be dreamy? Not like, okay, what do we need? Let's make a list and let's find it. Or even let's make a list so we can try to manifest it. Just the key here is like, just dream together. Get excited about each other's ideas and be very disciplined about not putting down any idea, because it's not like you're saying an idea. Like I've heard some crazy ideas in this. And when we were talking about, getting houses and your partner might come up with something like, I want it to be this, and just say, great. And then next. Don't analyze the idea right when it comes out. Just give it space.
Mm-hmm. And when Jenny says analyze, it's don't figure out why that can't happen.
Yeah, judge it.
Don't judge it. Like, don't judge it if like that you never find that house with that, or that would be too expensive, or how would we, like, it's just giving it space.
Yeah.
And it's just honoring whatever they want, because what they want does not have to take away from what you want.
That's a big key. Is taking into this the belief we both get everything we want in any partnership. No, whatever you're manifesting, we both get everything we want.
Write
so
that
much
down.
of that.
When you're not driving, we both get everything we want.
It's one of those things that I feel like I really had to break through because it's so out there, is like you have to sacrifice in a relationship, or one person has to sacrifice at least. And start right now, if it's not already, create a relationship, create an experience where you both get everything you want. That's what we're here for.
And that's so much more powerful to take into any creation that you're going to create in your relationship. Mm-hmm. We both get everything we want. Yeah. Because when you go in with that, you're both going to get everything you want, instead of holding that old belief that you might have picked up somewhere that somebody has to sacrifice, right? Mm-hmm. We both get everything we want.
So then the next part of this, I would say, is like having fun with it, like noticing, depending on, so let's just continue to use the example of houses. Like when you notice, Lisa and I would walk around or drive around and be like, ooh, I love that about that house. Ooh, I love this about this house. And start noticing just all the things you love about it. Or if you're co-creating a new location or a vacation or a new daycare, whatever it might be, start to notice what the little parts of things you like. Oh, that daycare has that. Oh, that daycare has this. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay. So you start to acknowledge it together and share it. So maybe you come home and you share with your husband, hey, I heard someone who had a daycare that they did this, blah, blah, blah. Great. Cool. Leave it at that. Just like in this phase of sharing and adding momentum and letting it come to you. Yeah.
Yeah, you will notice we haven't given you one like technique yet.
This is the technique, guys.
It is the technique. But I want to highlight that like this is the important stuff. Like some of the other stuff that you do, and if it feels fun, like we'll get to that stuff. But what I want to highlight is that we're just like, you're really just connecting at this point about your dream.
Yeah. That's a great way to analyze it. And I think that's the beauty of the co-creative part, is manifesting with your partner, is you're sharing the evidence or the ideas with someone. And then when another piece falls into place, like usually you're the only one that knows why that's so exciting or satisfying. And now your partner knows. And it's like that smile across the room, like, at least this has happened between us, where we've been talking about something and then we're in a conversation and like a third party will bring it up and we're just like grinning at each other because we know what that means. And so you get to, anytime you share the little pieces of evidence that are coming in, then you're adding momentum. And that like, that's the joy of like the co-creative, is that share. Someone else feels it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like right there most of the time, right? Yeah.
Okay, what would you say is another kind of element of manifesting with your partner?
So since we just talked about, like, this was all creating momentum, and this is the technique, right? Like we said. So then I think it's to be open to whatever technique you want to use. Like this could be enough. Some of you won't believe that. But
this is enough.
Yeah. This
is
like you can, I know, you can let this be enough. Right? Like you don't have to go into those other things. And if it feels good for you to create a vision board of all this stuff that you've talked about, awesome. If it feels fun for your partner to join you in that, awesome. If it doesn't, let it go, like let your need for their participation in creation of the vision board go.
Yes.
Because you don't want any of that is like forced. And you want to keep it fun and flowing and, just in this like about connecting, right? And dreaming.
Yeah.
And so if you love to do vision boards and that's your thing, like go do it. But don't feel like it's not going to work if they don't do it too.
I used to be a big culprit of that. I don't want to meditate, Jenny, but come on. We have to do this together. We're stronger together. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. One of my favorite questions to ask and to clarify on is like, okay, well, what's most important to you in this thing that we're creating, that we're manifesting? So that happens a lot. So that you kind of get on the same page about what you're moving towards. And it can be in a general sense or it can be in a specific sense, whatever you or your partner is clear about at the time. And another, like, to let the unknowns be unknown. If one of you is like, well, I want the brown couch, and the other one's like, well, I want the gray couch. And if those don't match, be like, okay, let's just like leave it for now. Let's give it some space and see what comes up and not try to fix any differences immediately.
Yes. So I would highlight space as another thing, like being willing to put the conversation down.
Yes.
Right. And know that doesn't mean it's not being created.
Yes.
It is being created, and you're allowing that space for the other information to come in. Like maybe somebody's going to gift you an amazing piece of artwork, and then your partner's like, oh no, we can't get the brown couch. Like I don't want that anymore. I want the gray because it matches.
It happens all the time. I have so many experiences like that. Pieces falling into place when you just give it the space.
Yes.
Yeah. And that totally dissolve any argument that you could have had. Or like disagreement that you could have had over details. Oh, I'm just going to give this space. Yeah. Okay. So to summarize, and this probably is the first point was probably the biggest and the most important one, is to just honor the diversity in your desires and in how you do your stuff. So let them do it their way and you do it your way, and share the parts that you naturally want to share the parts that overlap. And that's powerful. That's you manifesting. That is you co-creating together.
Does that go with the like cultivating that energy that you want, or would you call that a different step?
I would say that's the next step.
Okay, awesome.
So cultivating that energy as laying the foundation, and then getting into the specifics of what it is, and then sharing all the little things and having fun with it. And then and it's not the last step, but along the way, being aware not to stop the flow, like to not judge or analyze any ideas of your partners as they're coming up, or your own for that matter.
Right. I love it. And so then is your next step the communication piece? Yes. All right. Communicate about like, what do we want? And this is not about what we want. It's about dreaming. Being in pure dream mode where you're right, they're right. Everything is possible. Yes. Yeah. That's so good. And you're going to, remember we both get everything we want. And then have fun with it. That's the best. Yep. Acknowledge the things that you see and really just have fun in that space. And then if you do want to do a technique, like honor that nobody has to do it with you. You can do it if it's fun, and they don't have to do it if it's not fun. And it's both of those things are creating. And then let the unknown be the unknown. So if it doesn't seem like it's a match, be willing to give that space and set it down. That's perfect. I love it. Well, I hope this helps inspire some couples out there ready to manifest some dreams. And let us know if you have manifested something with your partner. Pop into our Facebook podcast community and let us know. We'd love to hear. Absolutely. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Go be awesome. Thank you for joining us on the Manifest It Now show, where you learn how to leverage the law of attraction to manifest your dreams. Now that you're inspired, share the love and review us on iTunes. While you're there, remember to subscribe.